Hi friends, it is my birthday week, so I thought I would roast myself. We're going to talk about films that you hate and I love. The rule of this video is I had to pick films that were below 5.5 on IMDb. These are technically collectively rejected by the majority, and these are films that I have watched multiple times. In fact, the lowest scoring one is one of my absolute favorite films of all time. So no hard feelings if you don't trust me after this, I totally understand. Before we dive right in, I just want to thank my patrons today for making this video possible. To support my Patreon is only $2 USD per month, and you get a bonus video every single week. These are behind the scenes, vlogs, extra come with me, spoilers, all the good stuff. Just a perk to thank you for supporting me. And also I want to thank my Twitch community. If you don't know, I'm over on Twitch 3 times a week live playing horror games, and I love hanging out with all of you. If you haven't checked out my Twitch yet, it's always posted down below in the description. It's just Spookyastronauts. Enough stalling, let's start with my first pick. I'm still surprised that people don't like this film, and I think I like to ignore that fact. I'm talking about Tusk. It's a bizarre story with so many twists and shocking moments, and even though it's framed as a comedy horror, I find the idea to be terrifying. So I find that the comedy in there is used as comic relief, almost to let us off the hook, because if this film was too serious, it would be too much. Many know this film to be about a man who gets trapped by another man who's obsessed with walruses. But there's so much more. I'm trying not to say too much because there are spoilers, but there's so much more to this film because I think people ignore the main character and his progression and arc throughout the journey, which just is the cherry on top of the cake. The film is about a podcaster who is so arrogant that he thinks he can use anyone's story to make money. And so he finds himself in a stranger's house without even considering the fact that he could be in danger. His ego lets him think he's untouchable, so that's why it's an enjoyable and poetic ride. And the performances, especially by Michael Parks, are chilling. It lets the audience have a little bit of ha 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 to let the steam release, because if it didn't, it's just such a intense situation. And that's what I like about it. It's completely bizarre, off-putting, and unexpected. This film is, of course, directed by Kevin Smith, and I'm not a huge Kevin Smith fan. I did love Chasing Amy and Dogma, but I wasn't really into Mallrats or anything like that. I remember when Red State came out, I was really impressed by his range, which I hadn't seen before. So when this film came out, I'm like, man, there is something about me that loves part of this man's mind. Not all of it, but part of it. Then Yoga Hosers came out and yeah, you lost me. But this one is good. I don't know why it has a 5.3 on IMDb. Another film that I absolutely love, and I rewatch this maybe once or even twice a year, is Swimfan. I am a huge fan of stalker movies, and this one is such a good obsessive stalker teen film. No one plays unhinged as well as Erica Christensen. This performance is so chilling and wild, and I just don't understand why it gets so much hate, or really, people are just indifferent to this performance. The film is about a high school senior who has everything going for him. And although he's on top of the world, it only takes one night stand with a woman that he believes is going to keep quiet to change that all. The moral of the story, there's always consequences. You can tell the roots of this one are based in Fatal Attraction, and I think it does a really good job of playing that to a teen audience. Okay, I'd like to say the next one's gonna get me butchered, but there's so many on this list that you guys are gonna hate. This one though, I know the comments, I can read the comments, just read the book. I know. This film, the reason I like it is because I benefit from not being an avid reader. The worst benefit of all time. This is Dreamcatcher, of course, based on the Stephen King book. People hate this film, but it stuck with me for such a long time, probably showing the power of the story itself and a reflection on why people who love the book were so precious over the adaptation. So in that way, I totally get it. The film is about a group of friends who have a strange experience as preteens, and then they reunite as adults on a camping trip and are plagued by parasitic entities cities. Yes, it's a complicated story. Yes, it tried to shove way too much into it, but I liked the result. It's a complicated movie, but I really loved the visuals. I found it effective and very memorable, although the film did have a few nominations, including a Fangoria Chainsaw for Worst Film of 2004 and Biggest Disappointment of the Year from the Golden Schmoes. A lot of people believe the story is too dense and it's mixed too many subgenres into one film, which of course is an issue when we come to trying to retell a story that is so long in a book into a short runtime. And people also say that it completely missed the point of the book. I really enjoyed this one. I like the rugged rawness, the coldness of the film in comparison to the emotional depth. It was such a vulnerable film with such a hard edge, but maybe I should read the book. This next one is so wild to me that people think that this film was a joke when I take it so seriously. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I love the original. It's one of my favorite slasher franchises, and I love the sequel. A lot of people say to me, oh, you like that? Do you like the sequel? Yes, I do. Have you seen Brandy? I mean, Jack Black is questionable for sure, but the best part of this film is Brandy and Jennifer Love Hewitt, who are stuck together on an island with a killer. I love all of their scenes together, but their friendship alone is just what makes this film work for me. Jennifer Love Hewitt had more chemistry with Brandy than she did with any of the original cast members, even though I love Sarah Michelle Gellar, don't get me wrong. They just hated each other throughout most of that original film. And with Brandy, you can really see their friendship and how much they care about each other. It just works. It's a nice film about friendship. It is a fun, straightforward slasher whodunit on an island where everything goes wrong. This has such a criminal IMDb score. I'm begging you, reconsider. Okay, Sherry Moon within Rob Zombie films has become a meme at this point, I'm aware. And the one time she tries to do something serious, you ruin it. The Lords of Salem does not deserve a score of 5.2. That's crazy. The movie revolves around radio DJ Heidi, who receives a cryptic vinyl which triggers flashbacks of her own town's violent past. Is she going mad, or do the Lords seek revenge on Salem? If this film was made today, people would love it. I think it was ahead of its time, I'm gonna say it. Sherry finally got out of that cowboy hat and the Daisy Dukes, and you guys just want to put her straight back there. This is an intriguing premise with some great visuals. It's gritty and it's mysterious. It also has a great message about the violent history of a town. Although Rob Zombie is a horror, I would say horror household name, he really doesn't get much love on IMDb anyway. I collectively thought we all got together and decided that some mid-2000s films just get a pass. Especially teen slashers, they're a product of their time, leave them alone. And instead of leave Britney alone, it's leave Paris alone. House of Wax was meant to get an exemption, okay? It's dorky, but it's in a fun way. The horror is about a group of clueless yet cool teens who get stranded near a strange wax museum. I'm a huge Vincent Price fan, but if the reason people are rating this low is because it's a bad remake of the original, they're not even connected. This is a completely different thing. They just happen to have the same name. Because if a wax museum is in a horror movie, you're gonna put it in the title. This film is just cool teens in a spooky setting getting slaughtered, and Paris Hilton's death remains one of the most classic moments of all time. The graphics were really wild. I actually think this one is slowly coming back up. It's becoming a cult favorite because when I looked on IMDb at the score, I noticed all of the recent reviews are positive. They're giving out 8s, 9s, 10s, so this could be on the way back up. This film is just silly slasher fun with the gore to match, and cringe is not a crime. This is my 10th year on YouTube, and I have recommended this next film countless amounts of time, and I had no idea that the IMDb score was so low. I'm talking about Communion, my favorite alien movie. This film is based on a true story, or really, it's based on a book. I wasn't joking, I love this movie. And we've spoken about this, that's how I got this copy. One of you guys sent it to me, which was so lovely. And it's about a family who is spending time in their cabin in the woods, and they get visited by, I mean, you can see the cover, it's aliens, obviously. The visitors have a deep impact on the father, who's played by Christopher Walken, and he is mentally changed forever. The thing that people hate about this film is the thing I love. Everything is strange. It's a bizarre trip. It's just put together in a very strange way, but that's what I find so appealing about the story and feels clunky, and the way the aliens move is strange and surreal, but that is what the term alien is. It's the unknown. It's alien, it's unworldly, and that's what the whole film feels like. It feels like it was made by an alien. I still think it's very effective and has some really jaw-dropping scenes, and Christopher Walken, I love him in this film. Do I think this film is for everyone? No. But do I think anyone who's a fan of legit alien films should check this out? Yes. This film should not be rated 5.5. It should be rated much higher. I love this film. Okay, this next one, I can see why people don't like it. It's silly, it's funny, it's knock knock. Hear me out for 1 second. I have a love-hate relationship with Eli Roth. I looked at his IMDb and I was like, which one? Because they're all very low scoring. I like Green Inferno, which is low scoring as well, but this is the lowest scoring film that I kind of gave a positive-ish review to, and I've rewatched it a couple of times and I find it kind of endearing, even though I don't think it's the best film out. It's something I want to watch because it's just so kooky that it exists. I don't know how it got rated below Cabin Fever, and before you say anything, have you rewatched Cabin Fever recently? Because I did, and I remember it very differently. The film is about a man who's a husband and a father, and he helps two stranded women who knock on his front door and end up seducing him, and then they turn this into a weird game of cat and mouse. It has Keanu Reeves, Lorenzo Izzo, and Ana de Armas. What some people may not know is that the film is a remake of Death Game, and Death Game is very much more direct. The blurb for that one is two crazy women seduce and torment a businessman. This film came out when people were looking for twists and great reveals and all that fun stuff, and it's just because you're home kind of situation that makes no sense, and a lot of people do not like the ending. The ending's kind of kooky and strange, but the whole film is, and I just like sometimes those ones where they mess with you and it causes that amount of anxiety because it feels real. If they sold you that at the start, maybe people would be more into the idea, but it just infuriates a lot of people. But I think it's fun and silly, and it's definitely not worth a 4.9. Come on, have a little fun, you silly goose. My next film I have to talk about is Seed of Chucky. I can't believe this still has such a low score. Again, I think this is one that is getting appreciated now and it's coming back up. The film is about what happens when Chucky and Tiffany are resurrected by their gender non-conforming child. I loved this movie from the moment I saw it when I was 15. There wasn't a lot of discussion back then, and exploring what felt like a very taboo topic in a really blatantly open way as the subject of this film, it really caught my eye, and it became a film I rewatched throughout my teen years. It's really nice to hear that some people found comfort in that, and of course adding in John Waters as a role that was meant for him makes so much more sense because his films really explore those kinds of ideas about searching for identity in one way or another. I get it didn't fit what is traditionally seen as a fun slasher with a killer doll, but it was such a nice way to see Chucky, who has a lot of cheeky one-liners, because Tiffany and Charles at their core are trashy serial killers. That's their whole point. And it's not often we get a what if situation in a franchise that is so established with its core theme and stylization. It was here I realized that anything is possible for Chucky, and I still believe that. And he's gone on to do great things, so good on you, Chucky. And last but not least, it was very obvious this was coming. I have a whole video dedicated to this movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, even though I know it's all about nostalgia for me. It's Blair Witch Book of Shadows. You know those films that were constantly rented out on VHS or I guess DVD, whatever your timeline is, and they were always in your house? This film is that for me. And I didn't even realize until really recently, probably when I started my channel, that people didn't like this film. I always thought it was a staple. The film is about a group of tourists that arrive in Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project, the original movie, and they want to take a guided tour through the real scene of the crime when everything goes wrong. It's got the good early 2000 tropes, including my favorite, the glitchy tapes. But what sells me and continually sold me on this film throughout the years was Kim Director, who plays Kim in the film. She plays this quintessential gothic girl who's moody AF, and I just love her so much. This film, people see it as an abomination, but it truly brings joy to my life. It's a comfort film for me. I want to understand why people don't like it. It's kind of my job to understand why people don't like it. but I have such blinders on with this one in particular. I will not accept any answer. This is for everyone who calls me pretentious for liking Beau is Afraid. Look at me now. Anyway, there you go. I exposed myself. Expose yourself, the films you don't like, in the comments down below. And let me know if you want the flip side, films that I hate and you love, because I can do that as well. And don't forget, if you're looking for disturbing content, I have done a true crime documentary, top 10 most disturbing true crime feature-length documentary video for you, ready to go, time-stamped, all that good stuff. Check it out here, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe, stay spooky. Bye, friends.